Hi, how are you doing today? I think we are live. Are we live? Yes, we are live. Okay. Why a horse has trouble bending right? This is such a common question. So today we're going to talk about this. And here's how you may know that you have a bending problem. Let me know if you have experienced any of these things I'm just going to tell you right now. Maybe you're getting progress, but it's not as much progress as you're wanting, right? You're getting partial results, but it's never smooth and flowing turn. It's kind of sticky or a bend. Your horse seems willing to cooperate somewhat, but not totally willing. Your horse doesn't really want to be with you, perhaps, or your horse gets distracted easily, maybe spooky. It just goes on and on and on. So on today's live, I'm going to break down how you can deal with all of these problems by fixing the root cause. And the root cause is clarity. It's your clarity, your riding, the clarity that you have in your riding. Because the clearer you are, the easier it is for your horse to mirror that clarity back to you, right? The easier it is for everybody to understand what's going on, and the easier it is for you to get the results that you're looking for. And I can tell you this because I've helped so many riders and their horses in so many different disciplines. It doesn't matter if you're doing dressage, if you're jumping, if you're doing eventing, endurance, whatever it is. All these disciplines, I've helped them to fix their problems and the problems with their horses. And it usually comes down to clarity. So, and clarity isn't just what you're doing with the eggs, okay? It's more than that. And it can take, and what it is the understanding that you have and how you can create lightness and balance with your horse. So hi, I'm Chris Satterson. I'm the founder of the Harmony for the Horse online riders program. And if you are coming on live here, please let me know what it is you do with your horse. Are you an endurance rider? Are you a dressage rider? What it is that you do. And if you want to get notified of these free trainings, just click on the bell icon, or you can click on the 3 dots and get a drop down arrow and then choose to see notifications of when I'm doing these live trainings. And as you're letting me know what you do with your horse, I will check notes that you put in for me and answer questions as we go along. And if you're on the replay too, feel free to put notes for me because I always come in afterwards and I always answer questions and I will chat with you. So if you haven't already done so, I would suggest and highly recommend that you join my free Facebook group called Ride Your Horse in Full, because over in that group this last Tuesday, we did a training that was very particular and specific to this topic as well. And so it's something that you need to watch and rule out that you don't have going on in your horse before you can apply any of this that I'm going to talk about today. You can go into the group. You have to answer the questions first, so moderators will let you in, but go into the group, scroll down, find the training that I did on Tuesday. All right. So now there are very few people who do this and who train this and who teach this. And it's basically a remedy for all kinds of difficulties that riders have with their horses. Horses are horses and they need to be balanced, right? Riders are riders and they need to be balanced. Whether you're in dressage, in Western riding, whatever, we all need to have balance within our bodies and with in our horses' bodies. So the number one thing that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to give you 2 pointers here. Number one is that you are either promoting healthy movement or dysfunctional movement. All right, it's one or the other, either healthy movement or dysfunctional movement. So when you work with your horse and how you're doing what you're doing, Are you doing it in a way that is creating healthy movement patterns, or are they patterns of dysfunction? And this is important that you know this, right? A lot of horse owners and riders often tell me, and they come to me with their problems, one of which is bending right? It's pretty common. And what their goals are and what they are looking to achieve, right? Maybe they want to help their horse because it's leaning on the bit, right? Or uh, falling onto one shoulder all the time, right? They can feel that. They want more lightness, or maybe they want to learn how to straighten their horse. And they want to know what exercise it is to fix that. Well, it's not all about exercises, right? Because when there's collapsing happening in the body, or when there's not balance, or when there's not self-carriage, or when there's not lightness, then that means that what you're doing with your horse further is going to be precipitating a dysfunctional way of moving, right? Other things like building top line, better lateral movement, or rehabbing from an injury, it's all the same. It's all relating to this one thing, either healthy movement or dysfunctionally moving. But actually, what the riders don't understand is how the horse got there in the first place. Okay, so how does your horse get there in the first place, or how is your horse actually moving, right? So they tend to focus on the exercises and picking this exercise and doing that, and not actually having the knowledge on how their horse moves or how the horse got there in the first place. So let me give you an example. And if this resonates with you, put a note for me below. If you can understand this, put a YES for me as a note below. Or if you feel that your horse has more trouble bending right than bending left, put a YES. So one of our students in our program had a lot of pain when she was riding, and she was always feeling that things just weren't right in the saddle, right? So she did all kinds of exercises, like putting her hand up as she's riding and doing this and doing that. And her horse and her were still having troubles. And so she would fix one thing, or she thought she fixed one thing, and then something else would show up. So I remember clearly her telling me this story about how she felt she had fixed the horse's ability to look right, but then she felt that there was fishtail happening. The hind end was like kind of not there. And so what we did, and this is what we do in our program, is we taught her how to make the shift that she needed to make to understand this. We taught her how to experience movement coming through her, right? How does movement come through her body? And this is what's different. This is what is unique about our program, as well as some other things. But what it is that it's not just theory, it's just not tasks to do, it's just not motivation or whatever. It teaches you the whole thing on how movement comes through your body and how to experience that, how to feel that. What does it feel like when movement is coming through your body and not being blocked somewhere? That's crucial. And so what we did with this rider in our program is we helped her to see it, right? And so she was saying things like this, like, oh, I never thought of it that way, right? I was doing it this way, and I knew it didn't make sense to me, but I didn't know what to do. So she could see it. And so my job was, first of all, to help her to release the pattern in her body as a rider, right? What was happening, where she was collapsing. Release that in her body and actually find out what was happening that she couldn't feel at the time, but we could see very clearly. Release the energy around that and release that pattern and give her a more effective way to work, right? A more effective way to ride, a more effective way to approach your horse. And so Janice was her name. And so Janice then let me know that she experienced this in her body, and she experienced that the movement was coming through, and what a difference that made for her horse. And once she could connect in this way with her horse, it was strikingly obvious, right? Before she couldn't feel it, but now she could actually feel what was happening within her horse's body, whereas she couldn't before that. So it helped her to see what we did with her. It helped her to see what was going on. It helped her then to feel it, to then experience it. And then that helped her to see what she needed to do to help her horse to get there. And this is totally essential. Let me know if this makes sense for you, right? That we can't help our horses until we know exactly what's going on within our bodies first, and then understanding how our horses' bodies move. So Brandy says, a Western trail and pleasure. Great, Brandy, thanks for tuning in. Deanna says, yes. Okay, great. Glad to hear that it's resonating with you. All right, so now back to Janice she now could bend her horse right. Her horse was now able to bend right. And so this is how we have a healthy, balanced, and light self-carrying body, right? Not just the exercises and picking exercises that maybe aren't relevant. This is how we have the balance. This is how we search for it. And sometimes when we just choose exercises, doing them repetitively and hoping that it's going to work, it's just a false hope, right? How can that possibly hope? It's wasting time, precious time with your horse, and not getting a better bend towards the right. All right, the next thing, number 2, is form to function. All right, and there is so much information about this on the internet. You can Google it, you can find information about the concept of form to function, form and function to form, right? Vice versa. Understanding the biomechanics of that, even if you're a recreational rider, right? Even if you're just wanting to do trail ride, there's a lot that's involved with trail riding, right? Because the minute that we do something with our horse, even on the lunge, right? We're noticing the horse is not bending to the right. Even if, we're riding on the trail, whenever we do something to our horse, we need to take the responsibility upon ourselves to get the knowledge and to understand what's going on within their body. So there's lots of that around, right? Lots of scientific evidence about tensegrity and all those kinds of things. But what's not there is how to teach the rider how to feel it or how to experience it, right? I first learned this back when I was a professional dancer. And this is where I first experienced it. And it was from one of my teachers. Her name was Patricia Beatty. And she wrote the book called Form to Function. It was just a little small book back then, many, many years ago. And she wrote this book. And this is where I first learned some of the theory behind it. And then I could apply and implement the theory to what I was actually doing with my body. And what it basically is working with the spine from a theoretical perspective, right? And what the spine is doing, understanding what the spine is doing. When you understand that, then the legs are free to move, the limbs are free to move, the head and neck is free to move, and you will have a nice bend right. And when you have a good bend right and you have a horse who's moving correctly and properly, then other problems like spookiness that I talked about at the beginning, or willingness, they just disappear because the horse wants to be with you, because you know how to help the horse. You know how to guide the horse with any dysfunctions that the horse has. And every horse has it. Every human has it. So this is really essential, imperative information that'll help you. All right. We first must understand what happens in the horse's body before we put the horse into any kind of exercise. We need to find out where there is something that's a disorderly way of moving or a dysfunctional way of moving. And it's not rocket science. It's not difficult, but we do need to pay attention to that. And then when we know that, we can work our horses in such a way that the dysfunction or any restriction or any blockages are corrected. And from there, that's when we can apply. That's when we can really ride our horses, because we know the time that we're investing with our horse is going to be for the benefit of both us and our horse, not degrading the horse, right? So in other words, if you want to train your horse correctly, you need to understand what is happening in the body. Your body, your horse's body, what movement is correct for you, what movement is correct for your horse, and what is dysfunctional before you even ask the horse to move in any way. So if that makes sense for you, Brandy, she says, yes, great, Brandy, good. Great that you're thinking that you resonate with this. If you'd like help with any of these things that I've talked about, if you want to find the core issues of your movement and your horse, then click on the link that's somewhere around here, above or below or on this video. You can click on it, you can copy and paste it, you can go to this link, and we will have a chat with you and set up a time where we can find out how we can help you with those things that we just talked about here today. All right, so if you have any questions, let me know. I see some questions. Okay, so all right, feel free if you're on the replay too to put in notes for me below. I'm happy to answer questions afterwards. I'll come in afterwards and chat with you. So thanks so much for being here, and I will check for notes as soon as I'm off this live. So thanks so much for being on the training. Be sure to go back, find the training in my free group, because you need to address that situation first, make sure that that isn't an issue within your horse, and it's related directly to bending right. I did this on Tuesday of this week. Find that training, and then click on the link and we can see how we can help you. All right, thanks so much for being here. Bye for now.